Amy was a dreamer, her optimism so radiant it could brighten the darkest corners. At 28, her short, curly brown hair framed a face lit by sparkling green eyes that always seemed to find wonder in the world. This story begins on a seemingly ordinary day that held an extraordinary choice. The airstrip welcomed her with an eerie calm. The airport was tiny, flanked by shadowy woods draped in mist. The quiet was unnerving, but Amy dismissed it. The glow of anticipation muffled any doubts. At the heart of the town, Amy finally met Thomas at a quaint, time-worn cafe. He was as charming as his pictures suggested, with neatly combed dark hair and an effortless smile. But beneath the surface there was unease in his eyes, and his jittery demeanour left her puzzled. Brushing aside her suspicions, she focused on the warmth of the coffee cradled in her palms. Perhaps first meetings were nerve-wracking for him too. The town's charm was undeniable, but tinged with strangeness. As Amy wandered its cobbled streets, she noticed closed shops and drawn curtains that seemed to twitch as she passed. By evening, the streets emptied into an unsettling quiet. That night, as she lay in her dimly lit hotel room, a folded note slid under her door. "Leave before it's too late." Was it a cruel prank? Amy didn't know what to think. Determined for answers, she confronted Thomas the next morning. He invited her to walk by the lake, assuring her everything was fine. The water was serene, but their conversation was interrupted by his ringing phone. "I'll be right back," he said, leaving her there. He never returned. Panic began to gnaw at Amy. Calls to her family failed as her phone showed no signal. That night, she sat beneath the glow of a dim street lamp, her phone's faint light doing little to calm her racing mind. The following day, her search for clues led her to an abandoned house. Inside, she uncovered a hidden bunker. The walls were covered in photographs of her, screenshots of conversations she'd had with Thomas. Someone had been watching her. The realization struck like a lightning bolt. Thomas wasn't who he seemed. The entire ordeal was a trap. That night she sought him out in the desolate town square. As he stood before her, the polished veneer of charm cracked to reveal something sinister. Dark figures began to close in from the edges of her vision. With no time to think, Amy ran. Through the dense forest, moonlight flickering between the trees, she fled. Her breath came in short, desperate bursts as the cryptic note crumpled in her hand. Shadows gave chase, their forms twisting and stretching with an almost supernatural menace. The forest seemed endless, and then everything went quiet. Amy was never seen again. Her family's desperate search stretched on for months, but the town seemed to hold its secrets tightly. Then, a year later, a postcard arrived. No stamp, no address, just one word: safe. In the warm glow of their living room, her younger brother gripped the card, staring at it as though it contained the key to her disappearance. Her photograph rested on the mantel, her green eyes eternally filled with the same hope she carried the day she boarded the plane. Some say Amy fell victim to something dark and inexplicable. Others believe she outwitted whatever hunted her and found a way to survive. But one thing remains: not all journeys have a return ticket, and not all love stories end as you'd imagine.